Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chris Stallings. You might know me here on YouTube as MarauderEX, and as always, I'm your host for Operation Recap. This is actually a very special episode of Operation Recap. Unless you've been living under a rock the last week, you knew the last weekend was PAX East. PAX, the Penny Arcade Expo, is quickly becoming one of the largest gaming expos, rivaling its granddaddy of E3 in terms of scale and scope. The difference between PAX is it is open to the public, so it's very hands-on for anyone who's interested in getting into the gaming world and just seeing things for the first time. E3, very much more dedicated to stockholders. PAX is definitely for the fans. And because it is for the fans, we actually had some of our staff members at PAX this year reporting on all sorts of things. There's a ton of stories, so I'm going to do my best to do them all justice. But, as always, all of the links to the articles that were written by our fantastic staff will be in the video description, so check those out for the full in-depth coverage of Operation Rainfall at PAX. Starting off, we got hands-on on a lot of games. Remember Me, which is by Don't Nod Entertainment. This is a game that I had heard about, and it kind of flew under the radar, and then it sits back up and it looks amazing. And they got some hands-on footage of that, their first impressions. They also got hands-on with The Wonderful 101, a Wii U title that for many sold them on the console, and it's not even out yet. It's done by Platinum Games, so there's some hands-on first impressions with that. And then last but not least, Pikmin 3, hands-on. They got to play Pikmin 3. I'm so freaking jealous. And it gets worse. All these stories, I'm so ridiculously jealous of our staff that actually got to go. They have no idea how jealous I am. Some of the actual stories coming out of PAX. The writers of Bastion are working on a new game called Transistor. They gave some details on that. Bastion was an Xbox Live indie hit. It went on to become I don't believe it was just Xbox Live, but I mean it was an indie hit. It blew people away with the production values for an indie game, and that really did set the bars to what indie games can and will be in the future. They gave a lot of information about their upcoming game, which is science fiction themed RPG. You know, they're kind of sticking with their roots there, so it's going to be real interesting. Check out the article for the in-depth coverage of that. I'm looking forward to it, as I was a huge fan of Bastion. Next up, Sega says that Phantasy Star Online 2 will be delayed for the West. This is not surprising, as Sega has been very, very tight-lipped about Phantasy Star Online for a Western release. It will be available on PC and the Vita. Kind of an odd flip for consoles there. It is already out in Japan. There is actually a fan organization doing translations for menus and in-game text. The only thing that they have not been able to translate are the server names, because the servers they don't have access to, so they can't really change the name for that for the programming. It's kind of a big deal that Sega has announced that this has been delayed, because a lot of fans are just thinking that Sega is missing a golden opportunity, because with MMOs, the longer you have a staggered release like this, you've got one group who is significantly farther ahead, and one group that just starts off at the beginning, and then it causes problems. Final Fantasy XI had that problem, and it was a big hurdle to get over in the early years after the Western release. Speaking of Final Fantasy, one of the biggest things that I'm amazed that this was something that they were able to do is we actually got an interview with the project manager for Final Fantasy XIV. So one of our wonderful staffers was able to sit down and talk to the project manager for Final Fantasy XIV, their MMO, that started off a complete flop. It did nothing but damage the Final Fantasy franchise name. They killed it and brought it back, and it's probably one of the most interesting Phoenix metaphors in gaming history. They are working so hard to get this game out and get it up and running. A Realm Reborn is in I believe, closed beta at the moment. So lots of changes. To say lots of changes is an understatement. They basically smashed the game with a hammer and then rebuilt it from the ground up. So there is an exclusive interview with the project manager for that. So if you're interested in Final Fantasy 14, go check that out. Or if you're just interested in Square in general. Because the last story we have is also Square. Kingdom Hearts 1.5 English trailer premiered at PAX. Unfortunately, there's licensing rights, so we won't have the trailer up on our YouTube channel because so many different licenses. It's hard to keep the YouTube umbrella from crashing down on that with that one, because Kingdom Hearts, you've got Disney, you've got Square, and then you've got the subsidiaries that Disney has. Like Tarzan is a completely different copyright. So, but that is available. That is on the Square Enix channel here on YouTube, so if you want to see the English trailer for that, go check that out. It is fantastic. Those are just some of the stories that we got at PAX. Check out OperationRainfall.com for more, and we will have a regular Operation Recap covering the stories that PAX drowned out this week, because PAX was just such a huge deal. So stay tuned for that. Till then, later everyone.